guys, it's Jouelzy, and I have heard your requests. So thumbs up because it helps in so many ways that you don't even know. And let me know if you would like to see more videos of this kind. I am going to start reviewing Underground, the slave period TV series that airs on WGN. I understand quite a few people bristle at the idea of another slave narrative being shown on TV or in the movies. We have other programs that entirely negate the idea that slave narratives are the only media being shown. Entire TV stations have changed their TV programming to cater to the Black community. Hello, VH1. Historical pieces are done across the cultural landscape. Are Jews tired of hearing about the Holocaust? Are white people tired of the mystic lands of Europe during the age of Vikings? I'm tired of 15th century War of Roses-esque period pieces said no one ever while watching Game of Thrones or any of the other bevy of TV programs that looks eerily similar to the formatting of Game of Thrones. More white people in knight's armor. Oh boy. Slavery is a part of African American history, and it doesn't make us less than compared to others in the diaspora. Slavery is just as much a part of West African culture, and slaves have been repatriating since the advent of the transatlantic slave trade, influencing the cultural landscape from the Bight of Biafra or Bani all the way up north to Cape Verde. I recently went to Ghana, and I came back hella proud of my ancestors who laid the foundation of African American culture. Not to get too deep, because I know at some point I need to do a video on the culture of African Americans, because for whatever reason people think we don't have one. I mean, we're a new culture. Yes, we've been around for maybe a little over 300 years. But even these cultures that so many African Americans are taking DNA tests to rush back to West Africa and claim, you know, a lot of the cultural norms that they hold, don't shoot me, you know, what's Christianity in Africa? So let's not be ashamed that slavery was the precipice that led to the cultural shift that created the culture of African Americans, because every ethnic group and therefore culture in West Africa ain't that old neither. They might be just as new as we are. Some of the most loudest and proudest ones, if you look at the etymology, are a manifestation of imperialism that happened in the 1700s. Let go of your hesitation, and I behoove you to just watch. This show is excellent. Starting off with John Legend being an executive producer on the show, allowing for him to kind of throw around his celebrity weight and bring on Raphael Sadiq as co-composer. That means the music in this is like A1. Bruh. The show starts off using Kanye West's very controversial song, Black Skinhead, which sets the precedent for the kind of hard-hitting, aggressive, modern, like bring you in, draw you in, cathartic, high, low, yes, what is happening right now music that is used throughout the series. It is good. So much so that I might need to start putting together playlists of all the songs they use in the show. It is that good. To be honest, I am a bit hesitant about the subplot of Noah and Rosalie and their little love story, because it's like cliche. A brute in black field slave falling for the light-skinned, wavy, and baby-haired house slave. Don't touch them sugar cubes, Rosalie. Like, okay, how many different ways do we see this in Hollywood? Dude from Law & Order, Christopher Maloney, about to lose all his cool points that he racked up with the Black community airing all them episodes of Special Victims Unit, because he is playing the very sly and slick and duplicitous poor white man turned slave catcher August Pullman. My feelings were so hurt in episode 1, where he cajoled that runaway into believing that he could help her escape up north, or help her on the Underground Railroad essentially, only to then turn her in and collect the bounty on catching her. Like, I think his character is very necessary, as it shows the foundation of racism amongst poor whites, almost as a distorted necessity towards survival. Lester from The Wire, the actor's name is Clark Peters. He plays, I don't know if he's a slave of August or just a black man that gets housed by, I don't know what. He told August's son, he was asking what his father does, and he tells this tale of two wolves at war, and the wolf who wins is the wolf that you feed. And so I don't know how much you're going to paint this August Pullman slave catcher character as being a slave catcher out of necessity, because I don't think that's honest. But I do think that is a part of his story, and that he does it because he needs the money. But I think he also does it because he believes that he has some right over black people, and that he does believe that black people are some sort of cattle that he can turn in for money. I mean, he just chooses to herd this cattle because it's profitable. Hopefully it will highlight how, even though a lot of white people did not own slaves, they fed into the ecosystem that allowed black people to remain enslaved. Kato, the light-skinned Negro with the burn on his face, damn near validates all the shade that light-skinned people have been receiving for the past century or so. He's about to do more damage than Chris Brown has done. He reaffirms that light-skinned people act like house cats. That shit is still the funniest ish I've ever heard in my entire life. And clearly, I know. What am I? What are you, Jouelzy? What are you? I'm not in denial. But my nigga came through in the clutch last episode. We are 4 episodes in. I'll try to do week by week interviews, but since we wrapping this all up, we can just talk about 1 through 4, right? But he came through. First of all, we learned about his backstory, about why his side of his face was burned, because he had tried to run away several times, and that desire towards freedom, towards being treated like a true human being, has never left him. We really appreciate thus far in this series them showing the intelligence of the slaves without it being like oh my gosh, Pine Wally jeans, is that a book with letters in it? I know some old wives' tales is gonna save your soul. There is this highbrow level of intelligence that these slaves hold, and they might not be educated by the Western letter, but they are smart in their courage. For all of Kato's gallantry in the last episode in helping the slaves to run away, even though they left behind Rosalie's little brother, I feel bad for that Negro. I do wonder how Kato's ego and relationship while they're on the run will hold up with Noah, because they've had a back and forth that is like, Noah in episode 2, I believe, or was it 3, set Kato up that he had ended up having to sleep with one of the older white women who was like known for plucking black slaves up to come to her quarters late in the evening. He had to service this fat old white bitch. Ugh. I'd still be mad at Negro. I don't know how mad I would be trying to get to freedom, but Kato got a lot of ego. Ernestine is my main with the flick of them cheekbones. All she gotta do is naturally contoured. She's played by Amira Van, and she is just... Episode 2, Run With Me, featured a very provocative sex scene between Ernestine and Master Tom Macon, and it showed you kind of what Ernestine's role is inside the house. I thought it was a well done sex scene considering the roles, in that, it definitely harped on a lot of the stereotypes of African American women and their sexuality, but it also kind of threw it back in your face. Because Ernestine is not some oversexed woman, but she is using her body as a means for survival. And obviously the domination she has, because this white man is weak as fuck. Like, weak. And as much as we might want to shade or slander, or Tariq Nasheed thinks it's ever okay to utter the words Negro bed wench at another black woman, it's not that this was something done out of love. This was a very deep need for survival, and it's something that still happens to this day, in that we still have war going on throughout much of the world, and women and children in 2016 are being used as weapons of war. And so to kind of take back that victimhood and then use your body as a sense of survival, I think there's a lot of deeper meaning in how we attack women and how they use their sex for survival, and how we describe this kind of slave narrative of the black woman who was kind of plucked from the plantation to be the mistress of the white slave owner. And it's like, does she really have a choice in the matter? Like, am I getting too deep here for you? My bad. No, but Ernestine is first and foremost a mother who's going to protect her family at all costs, which leads us to Pearlie May, who in the last episode, August, the slave catcher, rolled this nigga too slick. Die, August. He rolled up on them at the bridge. I don't know why Pearlie doesn't keep running, because would he have really shot her? A dead slave ain't worth shit. I don't know where I'm supposed to be at with this, but she turned around and surrendered herself. It impeded him from running after the rest of the slaves. She told her husband, whatever you gotta do, get our daughter to freedom. Like, nigga, if you gotta die in order for our daughter to free, die. But that was like some real self-sacrifice, because what is she going back to? Like, she's going to, it's not like she's going back to the plantation to work. She's going to be made an example of. Like, she's going to be beaten as close to death as possible and then put to work. This shit is brutal. The white man do-gooder and the abolitionist lawyer John Hawkes, I'm still trying to wrap up how I feel about him, because I don't know that I have room for sympathy for white people in a show about slaves. I was definitely like, bitch, you right, when his wife coldly told him he deserved that whipping she had to hand him while being held hostage by a slave who swore up and down that John Hawkes was a white man who sold his wife upriver to another plantation. That slave being played by Jussie Smollett, who, like, his acting skills came all the way up. He was convincing as fuck in that role. I was like, oh man, you're crazy. John Hawkes' wife realizes that he really did sell this man's wife when he was like, you know, just another day at work for me. I mean, yeah, he's saying that shit's like guilty. Like, I'm trying. He has some empathy, but she was like, well, you deserved it then. You deserved that whipping. I was like, am I agreeing with a white woman and a slave narrative? I don't feel bad for you, but bitch, you right? You right. You know, the idea of walking across the southern United States up north towards freedom, like, have you ever seen a map of the United States? We know the sweet spot, the golden spot is Canada, but this underground taking place in Georgia. Canada far as fuck, right? Canada far. You gotta get through all these states to Canada. So most slaves who were escaping via the Underground Railroad, their goal was just to get across the Mason-Dixon on the East Coast or up into Ohio, Indiana, or Illinois, which are still quite shitty options considering. And then depending on what year it was, you could get your ass snatched back, taken back to the plantation, even once you made it into them free states. Think about the weather. Like, winter is a thing. There's not really a seasonal time of year where there's no rain. What about tornadoes, hurricane? Like, the climate. That was like, bruh, this is wild. And I be watching the show wanting to bust out my recorder and play that version of the drinking gourd I learned back in the 3rd grade. Yeah, but I also like genuinely appreciate the struggle my ancestors went through to allow us to all be shallow ass Negroes who don't want to watch slave narratives, like to have the freedom of choice to be shallow in a country where we were not even seen as human beings, and that my ancestors fought for this right is so meaningful. You know, it's like, think about how we live today, how little we have a will to fight or really stand for anything. And I mean, this is inclusive of African Americans, and you two over there, you, the recent immigrant to this country, you 1st and 2nd generation, girl. I mean, your family wouldn't be able to stoops while suggesting that my people were hoodlums if it weren't for these slaves who took the risk of fleeing towards freedom up north, and even more so, those who took the walk back again to free more of their people. Swing low, sweet chariot. Thank you, Harriet Tubman. And all you other unnamed black folk who not only carried so many of us to freedom, but brought over pieces of the culture of the lands that they were ripped from, retain those to make something so succulent as the culture of African Americans and the influence that we have over the world today. You might not want to be us, but you love our culture. Underground is great. I will definitely try to get up weekly reviews, which means I might have to shift around the days that I do Smart Brown Girl videos. I'm thinking about moving that to Monday anyway, because who wouldn't like to start off their week with an awesome discussion that helps us live better as Smart Brown Girls? Join me along for the discussion. I will try to get these reviews up in a timely fashion. We try to do better. And let me know if you want to see more reviews like this. Thumbs up. Do you like my hair? I love my hair. It's grown. I'm giving you unfinessed teas. If you follow me on Snapchat, you know what that means. But I'll probably have to do an official video announcement on this, but I have published an ebook. When I left the natural hair community 2 years ago, I did write an ebook. I have now published it on blackhairkitchen.com. It is only in PDF format. There is no hard copy. It is to help all my smart brown girls who I left behind when I stopped talking about my 4C natural hair. It's called The Guide for the Extra Kinky Coily Girl Who Thought That Baby Hairs and Sleek Updos Would Spring Forth. I'm funny. It's lit. I have a link down below where you can purchase it now. I need y'all's support as I expand the smart brown girl movement and I get my ish right because people are trying to come for me illegally. Anybody got time for that? Nobody. All right. Thanks for watching. Deuces.